What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Halftime Snacks podcast. This show features short interviews that you can listen during the halftime of your favorite sports events. Every Tuesday, I host fun conversations with talented people in the sports industry where we'll learn from their stories, knowledge, and experiences. So go grab your favorite snack and come snack with us. Are you ready? Let's go! Coming up on today's Halftime Snacks from India is an expert in software and product development who's passionate about building solutions for other people. He once led the development of a renewable energy platform that helped over 50,000 people and also built a digital product that gave access to educational experiments to high school students. Today, he's the co-founder of HomeGround, a platform that helps grassroots cricket players and coaches with instant analytics, recommendations, and expert feedback on their training sessions. I can assure you guys this episode will be fun and interesting. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Santosh, Vuppala.
Thank you, Ron. Thanks for having me. It's really excited to be part of the show. Looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for accepting my invitation. I apologize for the whole drama that we had to go through to get you on the show, but I'm so happy that we were able to get you finally. How about we kick it off with a fun icebreaker? I always start it, to get your tongue rolling and get you to speak. So the one that I prepared for you is the following. If you could keep in the world either hamburgers or pizza, what would you choose?
I think it would be a pizza because it's more the availability is more here back in India. So I think I go with pizza. Yes.
Oh man, you're gonna leave a lot of Americans without hamburgers. They're gonna be pissed, man. But I feel like those that love pizza will appreciate it. I think that I would also keep the pizza. So great answer, Santosh. Man, it's a pleasure to have you here on the Halftime Snacks, especially with all the work you've done and the amount of people that you've helped throughout technology. I want to know if there's anything that inspires you. What is it that is about you, or personality traits or things that moved you in your past to build different solutions, as you mentioned, as I mentioned, renewable energy, then educational platform, now sports. So why are you so motivated by building those solutions?
Yeah. Thanks, Ron. I think that's a great question. I mean, I think always I have an inclination towards building things and building solutions to a problem. So that's been an inclination even when I was having my education in terms of building programs or writing code and having solutions. So that's the major inclination. And then specifically for sports, I mean, I've been involved in playing cricket for the past 10, 15 years. And I've seen that there's a gap of access to these training analytics or access to a professional coach. So that's when that hit me, and I wanted to build something there. But it took some time to see and evaluate and also do some validation. But always, I mean, it's been that inclination that drove me, or that motivated me towards finding a solution in a field I love, specifically the sport of cricket. So yeah, that's how it all started, and that keeps us going.
And you mentioned that you find it super interesting to solve things through code and through software. I want to maybe talk about that and ask you, what is about code or software that you really like? Is it the challenge of creativity that challenge you to come up with different roads and avenues for a specific solution, or is it more because of the amount of leverage that it can have, meaning that you can code something and you can basically educate a machine to do things for you? Like, what is it about coding and software that drives you and gets you really excited?
I think the one thing that really excites me about code is, I mean, it's like learning any other language, right? It's like learning a new language, and now you are instructing the computer or the hardware to do things. and you're learning that language to build that communication with you and the computer. So and also that leverage that you have, which you cannot do yourself, and you're now allowing the computer or the hardware to do it. And there are endless possibilities on that as well. So there are a lot of things that could not be imagined, which are being done now. And that really excites me about writing code, or seeing the end product of what this can do. So that's the most important aspect of, I think, that keeps me going when I'm writing code. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. I mean, I'm a very, amateur coder and very, a fanatic of just coding super simple programs. But the day that I realized this, that you're mentioning, Santosh, about the leverage, is the time that I coded a very, very simple bot for Twitter. That what it did, it was basically just followed other accounts which might be interested in the content that I was posting, and this it did by itself. So every 5 minutes, it would find another person and will follow him. And it's crazy because these are things that probably humans would do. I'll just sit down on my phone and follow, I don't know, 1,000 people. But if you actually count that number of time, the number of minutes that would take me to do what machines can do while you sleep, while you go for a run, while you're eating, while you're having other conversations, like that's the moment that it really blew my mind. The power of like computers and code and software. Do you remember your moment when you realized the power of how powerful really coding is?
Absolutely, I think that's really true, Ron. And I mean, that's the power you have when you write code and you try to build something. So the one program or code that I remember was when we were building this digital laboratory kind of a thing, a remote lab access, where it would, I mean, in the real world, it would be where you go to a physical laboratory, do your experiments in high school, and then come back. And then we wanted to build something virtual. And the first piece of code, or the first tutorial that I wrote, I mean, that showed me a lot of possibilities. And that helped us believe our vision in basically converting that idea into a reality. So that's when we thought this would really be something that we can work on. And then that gave me that also push to keep going and building other things. So yeah, I think that I remember that very clearly, that first experiment that we converted, and we got that remote access to it. So that was really fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy how powerful it is. I mean, there's so many different tools in leverage. Like for instance, content is one, right? You can record one podcast, and then this podcast could be listened by millions of people in India or all over the world. And it's things that you can do one time and then replicate thousands or millions of times. So man, code is just the most, probably the most powerful out of the different types of leverage that are out there. And specifically for HomeGround, what types of technologies? Well, first maybe you want to explain super quickly what is HomeGround, how you guys came up with it, and then explain what types of technology is it leveraging to create the value for the users.
Sure. So with HomeGround, we are building a platform that brings professional cricket training and analytics to the grassroots. So the idea is that a majority of players do not have access to professional training. The reason being, it's expensive. The current solutions that we have are either they use external hardware or high definition cameras, and the manual process also lets you do this, but at a very slow pace, and there's a lot of time wasted. So that's where we have come in and said we have built a solution which leverages computer vision and AI. And then all the user has to do is upload a training video or capture a live training session using just a regular tripod, mount your smartphone on it. And then our models look at it and give instant analytics and metrics on these training sessions. So just for instance, right, I mean, in cricket, you have different categories. So we cater to delivery, bowling, batsman, and wicket keeping analytics. So for instance, it lets you understand the ball line, length, and speed. So by ball line and length, I mean where the ball has pitched, and it then tells you the insights into how you can leverage these data points and take action on it. And we're also building a recommendation engine where, based on your data points, it recommends the next steps, right? So you can either access cricket drills based on it to improve your strength, or access to a cricket coach. We're also building that ecosystem where you can access a remote coach somewhere in Australia. If you're from India, you can sit back here and have their feedback come in on your data points. So that's the essence. I mean, we want all a majority of players and coaches get access to professional training. And to the second question you asked, the technology. So we are a core computer vision and deep learning model expertise that we have, and in our platform. The majority of the tech that we use is core computer vision. So we look at the video and try to understand the environment, the patterns, and then come up with these analytics. So yeah, specifically, yes, computer vision and deep learning is what we use at core.
That's sounds like you are really taking a step forward in developing and helping out the next generation of cricket players and grassroots cricket or amateur cricket players. And that's super exciting because some of the most of the technologies always like think big. How can we help the most professional athletes or get involved with the most relevant or popular leagues of cricket or other sports in the world, right? Everyone thinks on highly on like high brands and brands that are mostly recognizable, but I respect that you guys are taking a more a community-based approach or amateur sport approach, which is trying to help, because it's crazy the number of players that play on amateurs, like the 99% of the players out there on cricket, right? So it's a bigger market in terms of like number of people to serve. So really trying to figure out how we can serve so many people is it's a big challenge, and I think that you're the right man for the job, Santosh. How exactly does this technology makes money? How are you planning, or maybe what's the vision for the business model of HomeGround eventually? What are you thinking?
So HomeGround is available on three different platforms. So it's available on for iOS devices, Android devices, and we also have a cloud version which works, which you can access through a web version. And we have a subscription model for this. So there's a freemium based model where for a free account you have access to all the analytics, but for a limited number of videos that you can analyze on. But for a pro or a premium version, you have access to these analytics for an extended period of time. And this is a subscription model. So in terms of US dollars, it costs around three US dollars per user per month. I mean, that was intentional. We wanted to keep it really low, so that a majority of them have access to these. And like you mentioned, the professional side of it, they already have. I mean, when you're playing at a professional level, you already have access to these trainings. But a majority of them who are at the amateur or who are trying to play pro, is where the gap is. We wanted to solve that by providing them an affordable solution, and also which is accessible. So because it's on a smartphone, most of the majority of the users have access to a smartphone, and that's how we want to market and position ourselves. And we're also targeting initially the cricket academies and cricket institutes. So that's our first target, and then we will drill down into doing a direct to consumer kind of a solution.
No, I think that I like a lot the business model that you guys are thinking, mostly because when it comes to there's this thing on economics called price discrimination, and it's basically you tire up your types of clients or customers or potential customers, and you charge different amounts because not every customer is the same. So that sounds like that is the strategy, and I think that is a great one. And in terms of like product, how are you doing? Have you figured out the product market fit, how it's called, meaning that you know that this market needs this product and that is willing to pay for it? And is the product finished? I didn't even ask that, but is the product finished, or have you launched it, or are you ready to launch it? Like, what's up with the product?
Sure. So with the product, we are at the second version of it. I mean, we are just out of the working prototype stage. So the second version is out on iOS and Android with a limited feature set, right? There's not a lot of features that we've built. I mean, again, this was just to go out with these features, do some user validation, get some user research on, and then understand what are the real pain points, and then improve the product feature set. So we are at that stage where we are running a private beta with around 100 users, and getting their feedback. We are getting great insights on the product, and seeing what value we can provide. So that's the learning that we are getting out of this. And in the next 2 months, we are launching this next version, where it will have the additional features in terms of both analytics, and also the building the entire ecosystem, where you'll have access to remote coaches, and then augmented reality based target practices are also coming up. So yeah, right now we are pre-revenue, just doing a private beta, but yeah, the roadmap looks good, and we are sure, we're confident that we can achieve that. Yeah.
That sounds super interesting, and I'm looking forward to it. In terms of long-term vision, right, where we stand with HomeGround in, let's say, 10, 15 years, what is the long-term vision?
Sure. So what we see here is, Ronan, one is the short-term vision is basically to have this out on mobile phones, so that the iOS and Android smartphones, and have them accessible. But the longer vision is, now you have this analytics engine that you have built. Now, where else can we apply this, right? So the vision is, this can be married with a hardware like a 3D depth sensing camera, for example, and these devices can be placed at these training sessions, and then you can automate the entire capturing and also analyzing the training session. And then we also want to get into performance analysis of broadcast matches. So the cricket matches that happen, there's a lot of analysis that also happens there, and there's a lot of manual effort also put in to capture and then analyze a code or tag these events. So we are also seeing a lot of application of our analytics engine there as well. And then probably in the next 5 or 10 years, we also want the engine that we are building to integrate with bowling machines. So there are bowling machines in cricket where it just throws the ball at a particular speed or line or length. But now we also want to have that use our analytics engine and make it smart, so that it's not only throwing these balls at a particular line, speed, or length, but it also is providing analytics to the end user.
Nice. I'm a little bit less familiar with cricket and the competitive landscape of the sport. I know as a fact that cricket is the second most popular sport in the world, so I probably should be doing more research around it. But would you mind sharing maybe a little bit of how the competitive landscape in terms of business and technology that is being developed, or businesses that are being focused on cricket, on analytics, on performance, on insights, such as HomeGround, like how fierce is the competition? Are there many people trying to build those technologies, or are there some solutions already but focused on other areas that you guys are not focusing, meaning different niches and needs in the sport? Or is there less around this because it's an undeveloped market on that side? Like, tell me what you think about the competition surrounding the sport.
Absolutely. I think that there's we've seen in the last 3 or 4 years there's a lot of competition that's coming up in this space, specifically for cricket, right? I mean, we see that sports technology in other sports is already matured, and you have solutions that have been tried and tested. A lot of research that has gone into, but in cricket, we've seen that only in the last 2 or 3 years is where a lot of research has been done, and products coming out now after validation and research. So we definitely see competition in this, and we also are surprised that it's not just India that is building solution, because the cricket is like very popular here, but we see solutions from the US, from Europe, from Australia. So that's really nice to see that a lot of interest in cricket technology and things building up. So yeah, excited to see what the solutions are coming up.
That's great. That's sounds very exciting for the next upcoming years in the sport. And now that I'm thinking, I mean, super quickly, I wonder what the upcoming years, but for Santosh, look like. I mean, you went into renewable energy, then built an educational platform. Now you're doing one platform for sports. It sounds like you're not gonna stop, man. You're gonna be solving problems one after the other. Is there any specific plan or any area or any industry that you'd like to maybe participate in later off, that or maybe another side of sport or any other solution for other problems in cricket? Is there any other plans for you? I feel like you're a serial entrepreneur, so you're not gonna stop until you solve all the problems that you see. But any particular one or two that you have in mind for the next coming years?
Yeah, so I think it will be in sports, Ronan. I mean, to be honest, I mean, sports and technology both are really close to my heart. So both passionate about both. So I think the next probably the next journey would be in this. Not sure, not thinking about anything else right now. So yeah, for now I think it'll be building solutions for sports, specifically cricket, and then we'll see if anything comes up for other sports. I think we'll be glad to take that up as well.
Is cricket your favorite sport?
Yes, yeah.
And what's the second one?
The second one is basketball.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Okay,
cricket,
so
I think. Yeah.
maybe we'll get to a basketball solution on our next podcast, man. So who knows? Santosh, man, it has been really fun, and we've learned so much. I always ask a personal question before we wrap it up, to get to know you a little bit more closely. And this was one for you. Maybe this one's a little bit funny or weird, I don't know. But suppose that tomorrow you get elected as president of India. I don't know if you guys use president or prime minister, not sure. But suppose tomorrow you're elected the leader of the nation. What would be the first thing that you would do?
This is really a tricky question, but I mean, if that happens, probably again I'll go back to sports and technology. So I'll make sure every school or every college has sports facilities and sports training, and there's a lot of encouragement for tech in sports as well. So I think that that's what I'll do if that happens. But yeah.
Thank you very much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. If you enjoy learning about the business and technology behind sports, make sure you subscribe to the Sports Tech Biz newsletter. I'll leave the link in the show notes. See you all next week. Bye bye.